Life is unpredictable and chaotic. People like that. Some people, especially those who feel weak and vulnerable, develop ways of thinking that help them feel more in control by only considering what they're comfortable with. This might make them feel better in the short term, but it makes it hard for them to grow and change in the long term. This often starts in childhood, when some children feel frightened by the world and build up defenses to keep out other viewpoints. As they get older, this attitude becomes more entrenched and makes it hard for them to grow psychologically. People with negative attitudes often make other people feel negative emotions too. This reinforces their beliefs that people are bad. They don't realize that their own actions might be causing the negative responses. As a result, they become more isolated and their attitudes get worse. Negative emotions is responsible for your anger, suspicion, and insecurity that can make a person feel really bad. It's important to try to recognize these emotions in yourself and to root them out. It's also important to understand how other people feel when they have these emotions. Here are the 5 most common forms of the constricted negative attitude. First, hostile attitude. Some children show aggression at a very young age. They think that being separated from their parents are aggressive actions. Other children have parents who like to punish them. In both cases, the child sees the world as a hostile place and tries to control it by becoming aggressive themselves. As they get older, they become good at making other people angry, which justifies their original attitude. This is about a person who has a lot of anger, and they try to make other people angry too. They do things that bother other people on purpose, and then they act like it's not their fault. They never take responsibility for their own anger, and they always blame other people. They act like they don't care about anyone but themselves. They might make their family and friends feel bad on purpose, and then act like it's not their fault. If someone is being mean to you and it seems like they're doing it on purpose, they might have a hostile attitude. Some people are really mean and always seem to be mad. You can tell them by how they act around other people. They are always looking for a fight and seem to enjoy making other people feel bad. Their life is full of problems because of how they behave, but they always blame other people for their problems. If you notice that you have this attitude, as experiment, you can try to make it better by thinking positive thoughts about the people you meet. If they respond badly to you, it's probably because of their own attitude, not because you do anything wrong with them. It's important to not get too upset when someone is being mean to you. Try to stay calm and neutral. This will confuse the person and make them stop their mean behavior. Second, anxious attitude. These types of people are always anxious because they think something bad is going to happen. They expect people to be mean to them, and they are always worried about losing control. These people try to control everything in their lives to make themselves feel better. This can mean not going to new places or trying new things, and always needing things to be a certain way. In a relationship, they might try to control everything their partner does. At work, they might be really strict and need everything to be perfect. But this can backfire, because they might end up taking on too much and not being able to do anything well. When they're not in control, they can get really anxious. They try to make others like them by being extra nice in order to avoid any possible arguments or fights. If you notice that you have a tendency of anxious attitude, the best way to calm yourself down when you're feeling anxious is to pour your energies into work. Doing a project of some sort will help you focus your attention on something else and make you feel calmer. Just make sure you don't try to make it perfect, and you'll be able to use your need to control in a good way. You should try to slowly get used to the habits and pace of the people around you, instead of the opposite. This can show you that you don't have anything to be afraid of by loosening control. You should deliberately put yourself in the situations you most dread, discovering that your fears are usually much worse than what actually happens. You are slowly introducing a bit of chaos into your overly ordered life. Let this resolve your issues and make you happier. If someone has an attitude that is making you feel anxious, try not to let it affect you. Instead, try to be calm and soothing. This will be more effective than just telling the person what to do. Third, avoidant attitude. This attitude people have a negative attitude towards life, which causes them to see the world in a negative light. This is usually because they had a bad experience in the past, such as being made to feel guilty for doing something well or being criticized for making a mistake. As adults, they try to avoid anything that could put their self-esteem at risk in case they are judged again. They have a fixed mindset, see the world differently than people with a growth mindset. They believe that their abilities are set in stone and cannot be changed. They think they are with a fixed mindset, might avoid challenges and responsibility, because they are afraid of failing and being criticized. These people use what is called the strategy of constant escape. This means that they are always looking for a way to get out of something. They might make up a reason to leave a job or end a relationship. In the middle of a project, they might get sick and have to stop. They might also become addicted to something like alcohol. This is so they can have an excuse for why they are not doing well. This kind of people have a hard time committing to anything because they're afraid of failing or succeeding. They might stay in a job or relationship for a while, but then slip away before anyone sees their flaws. These people are usually motivated by a fear of judgment. The person described in this passage is someone who is not sincere and who does not follow through on their commitments. This person may try to make themselves look good by talking about high ideals, but in reality, they are not working towards anything. You can recognize such people by looking at their track record and their relationships. If you notice that you have any of the qualities of this attitude, a good strategy is to start with a small project. Finish it and embrace the fact that you might fail. If you do fail, it won't be as bad as you thought because you were prepared for it. Your self-esteem will go up because you tried something and finished it. Once you're not as afraid of failing, it will be easier to make progress. If you find a person with this attitude, it's best to stay away from these people because they will take advantage of you and then blame you if something goes wrong. They are really good at making excuses and avoiding responsibility. Fourth, depressive attitude. This is a description of people who did not feel loved by their parents as children. They might think that there is something wrong with them and that they are not good enough. This can make them feel bad about themselves their whole life. They internalized the negative judgment and felt that they were unworthy of being loved. This feeling will haunt them their entire lives. As adults, they will expect to be abandoned, to lose things, and to feel sadness. They will look for signs of these things in the world around them. They will be secretly drawn to things that are gloomy and depressing. This way, they can control their depression to some extent. They will think that the world is a dreary place. To cope with this, they will sometimes withdraw from life and from people. Depressive types are people who tend to be sad and wound others. They might do things like betray or criticize people. They also might block their own success. They might try to make those people feel bad too, or they might not try very hard at things themselves because they think they don't deserve to succeed. Sometimes people are drawn to these kinds of people because they seem sensitive and in need of help. Many of us have moments where we feel down or depressed. Depression is a normal part of life, and everyone experiences it at some point. It is our body's and mind's way of telling us to slow down and take a break. The best way to handle depression is to understand its purpose and that it is only temporary. We can also try to elevate our energy levels to help us feel better. Recurrent depression is something that some people experience. It can be helpful to think of it as a temporary thing that can be useful. To help deal with it, people can try to channel their energies into work, especially the arts. It's not a good idea to try to make depressive people feel better by telling them how great life is. It's better to go along with their negative view of the world and gradually expose them to positive experiences. Fifth, resentful attitude. Some people never feel like they got enough love when they were kids, so they're always feeling kind of hungry for attention. They carry this feeling with them throughout their lives and are always looking for ways to get more respect and recognition. They can be really sneaky about it and sometimes take revenge on people who don't give them what they want. These people always feel like they are being treated unfairly. They might see someone who is different from them and think that person is trying to hurt them. When this happens, those people might try to hurt the person they think is different. If they have a lot of power, they can be very mean and hurt a lot of people. They think they're better than everyone else and they act like it. They're always looking for a fight and always looking down on others, and they often get into arguments because of their bitter attitude. They usually end up hanging out with other people who share their same view. In 42 BC, the Roman Emperor Tiberius was a mean and revengeful person. As a child, his tutor noticed that he was different from other children. He was always silent and never showed any emotion. Tiberius was a cruel emperor because he was never loved enough as a child. When he became emperor, he took revenge on people who he felt had hurt him in the past. Tiberius was a ruler who became increasingly unpopular as he got older. His enemies were many, and he retired to an island to avoid them. At his death, Rome celebrated and the people shouted that he should be thrown into the river. If you find yourself feeling resentful, the best way to deal with hurt and disappointment is to learn to let them go. It's better to get angry in the moment than to dwell on slights that you may have imagined or exaggerated. Most people are not trying to hurt you on purpose, and you should not take everything so personally. Respect is something that you have to earn, not something that you are entitled to. You can break out of the cycle of resentment by being more forgiving toward others. If you meet someone who has a resentful attitude, be very careful around them. They might look friendly, but they're really watching for anything that could be an insult. It's better to stay away from this type of person if you can. By understand this 5 types of negative attitude will help you improve yourself and also keep you safe from other people who have this attitude. Hey, thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. It will make my day.